Hi everyone, it's Chenso from Reality Art Pod, here for night 2 of our Season 50 Classic Episode Marathon. Tonight we have Season 18, Tocantins, Episode 13, titled The Martyr Approach. If you like this video, you'll love my same day recaps of Survivor 50, so consider liking and subscribing, and using my link to try Paramount Plus for free. But let's dive into it. Here's where we're at in this season. The Jalapal 3, Steven, JT, and Taj are running the game. With 2 ex-Timbira, Aaron, and Coach, they just decided to vote out Coach's ally Debbie. Players get back to camp. Coach feels spared by the group. They let Coach know that Debbie was plotting against him, and she was the one vote for Coach at the last tribal. Coach is so grateful, feeling they're playing with truth and honesty, which he says leaves him almost speechless. Coach knows he's cooked and hopes that they'll still be honest with him when his time comes. The next day, Coach continues to be grateful, but is trying to weasel his way in with Steven and JT. Coach is also feeling unwell. He feels he scarred his lungs from the campfire, feeling like he smoked 20 cigars. He's basically using this asthma as an excuse to not go to Exile Island. He proposes the guys send Taj or Aaron to Exile. It's also worth noting for this episode, Aaron has gone to Exile and had a terrible time. Steven tells us that Coach will say anything to get out of going to Exile, and he's scared of it. But Steven and JT know that they're sending Coach to Exile, asthma and all, to weaken him and send him home at the next tribal. Players head to the reward challenge, where they'll race with their feet shackled together through a maze, then build a pole to grab a hanging sandbag, which they'll swing to knock down 3 targets. The first player to finish wins reward. It's an overnight reward to the governor's retreat to feast and shower, and they'll get to send 1 player to Exile Island. Again, they just don't do good rewards anymore. They get started bunny hopping through the maze with JT leading the bunny hop. Coach is just following JT and giggling along. So JT and his tail Coach are making their poles first, but JT gets his sandbag first and quickly knocks down his targets. Winning reward, JT really gobbled on this day. JT chooses to send Coach, asthma and all, to Exile. Coach tells Jeff he's going to take the monastic approach, not make fire and not eat. Aaron interjects that no, he's going to take the martyr approach, that he's going to make everyone feel bad for him and have an excuse when he loses immunity. Oops, she said the thing. Coach is offended by this, feeling like Aaron is cutting him down to make her own Exile experience look tougher. Coach tells Jeff his body is 1 pinch away from disaster. Between his ruptured discs, arms about to fall off, asthma so bad he can't breathe. He taps his chin saying, "Hit me with your best shot, Pat Benatar," which should have been the episode title, and Coach heads to Exile. JT gets to bring 1 player with him on reward. He chooses his bestie Steven, sending Taj and Aaron back to camp. Back at Forza, this is the cutest little turtle I've ever seen. Taj and Aaron agree. They hope Coach gets direct sunlight and suffers on Exile. Taj is confident that Steven and JT will take her to Final 3, so she's not worried about them on the reward. They continue to talk smack about Coach. Taj feels like if Coach won the challenge, he would have been the warrior, not the complainer. Aaron wants to go to the Final 3 with the guys too, and is hoping her comments to Coach don't make them see her in a negative light. But who cares about that? In the climax of this episode, Coach makes his journey to Exile with an eagle flying overhead. Coach says this is his vacation, where he can get a suntan. He says he's unbreakable, unbending, unyielding, immeasurable, immovable, invincible. He doesn't need food. He walks barefoot in the hot sand, communing with the creator of the universe, doing Coach Chi, and praying to God to forgive Aaron even as she hates him. He finds his dragon cane, a piece of wood that he whittles, and starts using this as his cane because suddenly he also has a limp and continues to do more Coach Chi and bask in his existence. Meanwhile, JT and Steven are on a private plane, arriving at a beautiful private property, getting to see themselves for the first time. Every season should have a mirror look towards the end. They get to shower. JT is moaning in ecstasy, which I guess is mandatory on an old school reward. They get a barbecue feast, which looks absolutely delicious. Washing the cell down with a cold beer, they agree that they've got the game stitched up, and that Aaron telling Coach off was uncalled for, and does make them second guess keeping her. Back on Exile, where at this point the buzzards are circling Coach, waiting for him to die or pass away. He's laying in the watering hole. He tells us the experience on Exile has been good for him to test himself. He's been in the Amazon, the Congo, the Orinoco, the Darien Gap. This is another one on the list. He again brings up his asthma, but he says he's feeling nothing but incredible focus on the incredible task at hand, winning immunity. Marcus Aurelius once said, "From our greatest adversities come our greatest successes," so he plans on winning immunity today. He and his dragon cane depart from Exile. Later at the challenge, Coach rejoins the group, hobbling with his cane. Taj laughs at him and calls him a drama queen in confessional, and says he belongs in a mental institution. Coach describes to Jeff his deprivation, saying it was the best time of his life. Jeff is fully hanging on Coach's every word. For their immunity challenge, players will be standing on pegs on their walls, moving down to smaller footholds as they go. The last player standing will win immunity. They get started with Jeff asking Coach if his time meditating helps him in this challenge. Coach feels he's mind over matter. They all move on to the final foothold, where Aaron quickly drops, followed by Steven and Taj, coming down again to a showdown between JT and Coach. Coach starts screaming in agony. As the music comes to a climax, Coach collapses to the ground, saying he had a back spasm. Everyone helps Coach get get back onto his cane, but he refuses medical attention, telling Jeff if medical checked him out, he'd be pulled from the game for sure. So JT wins immunity, and he walks Coach back to camp. Steven tells us that Coach being incapacitated makes him consider keeping Coach to beat him in the future. Back at camp, Coach says even if he won the reward, he would not have won that challenge. Aaron is baffled that Coach is acting like he's unable to move after being able to do the challenge for an hour, and he's been walking around camp. She and Tosh have been talking about Coach all day, and they keep going. Coach tells us that going against JT was iron sharpening iron. He was defeated by a great competitor. JT tells Coach that they're going to vote for Aaron after her rude comments at the challenge. Steven joins them and agrees that Aaron is tasteless and classless. JT is actually committed to voting Aaron out, but Steven is on the fence about what he wants to do. Heading to Tribal, Coach is confident that he can outlast Aaron and be the last original Timbira, calling himself the last of the Mohicans. At Tribal, enter juror Tyson in a very of-the-time yellow v-neck. Talk at Tribal is, of course, about Coach. Aaron feels minimized by Coach's attitude towards Exile. She had a terrible time there and hates that he was excited to go there. Coach says he had an easier time because he had previous experiences that help him, saying sometimes men drop a pebble and women see a boulder, which gets juror Sierra laughing at him. And he quotes Mark Twain, "Better for people to think you're a fool than open your mouth and remove all doubt," saying he's already done that. Coach tells Jeff that no one will be surprised because women have great intuition, and he stops the vote from proceeding, saying he wrote a poem for everyone, to an eye roll from Sierra. And here's the poem. "With friend and foe we march to the battle plain, some to seek success, others to seek fame. We play with honor for the love of this game, and with armor or without, we will toil in vain, so that someday someone, somewhere, will remember their name." That was actually an excellent poem. He was off book too, but the jury pay him in dust by falling asleep. They get to voting. There's 2 votes in that thing for Aaron from Coach and JT, and 3 for Coach from Aaron, Taj, and Steven. So Coach is voted out here. He isn't the last of the Mohicans. This was the Coach Power Hour. If you don't like Coach, this is not the episode for you. To me, this stuff never gets old. I remember watching this episode for the first time. I was rolling. This was Coach at his absolute peak in personality. Clearly, he's hamming it up for the cameras to some degree because we never see this exact Coach again. The asthma that came in this episode that was never heard from again. Obviously, Coach knew he was going home and couldn't compete with JT, and that was his way of having an excuse, but it's so blatant, which adds to the comedy. Coach truly is one of the biggest personalities the show's ever seen. You don't know what you're going to get from one scene to another, which is so dynamic. This got me hyped for his appearance on 50, but that's not the last we'll see from Coach on this rewatch. Tomorrow, we're going to Samoa for the premiere of Heroes vs. Villains, where we'll see him frog march Colby, joined by Suri and Stephanie. It's a jam-packed episode. If you like this video, consider liking and subscribing so you don't miss it. Until tomorrow, you know where to find me. Bye.